have now for these group 2 and 4 is a more generic and a practical aspect of our church's lives. Okay, both the topics were taken so that we can reflect upon our own lives together as a community. Am I blocking? Can you all hear me? You can't hear me. Now you can hear me. Now you can see. Okay. Okay. So earlier the topics were more. The topic was more scripturally founded because talking about fruitfulness and faithfulness and many examples through the scripture. But now we have a title that is "The Church Today is Busy but Not Fruitful." The church today is busy but not fruitful. And therefore, the two sides which will be arguing to it is yes and no. This is group 2, right? This group 2 is arguing, saying activity has replaced spiritual effectiveness. And my left side saying no to that, saying modern ministry is bearing fruit in different ways. Am I very clear? And so we will go through the same 5 minutes for each team to speak, and then the third round, I'll pose some questions for you to also rebut, and then will be a final closing.
If I zoom, you will go running at the same time.
Can I have the team members to come? 2 persons, 2 team captains. The one who knows, finds the paper in my hand will get to decide who starts first. Okay, so you get the chance to charge first. You get to choose who starts. Okay. Brave, very brave team. Ladies and gentlemen, we have 2 brave teams here who come forward to discuss on this topic. The church today is busy but not fruitful. Can we put our hands together to encourage them? We will now start with group number 2. 5 minutes arguing that activity has replaced spiritual effectiveness. Start.
Good evening, my brothers and sisters in Christ. Our team stands for the motion, the church today is busy but not fruitful. Now we want to be clear, we are not against church activities. We love church camp, we love worship nights, we love cell group, we love ministry. Some of us seem to even love community meetings. But let's be honest, the church today has a very impressive calendar: services, camps, rehearsals, meetings, outreach, live streams, WhatsApp groups, Google Forms. We are busy, very busy. But John 15 reminds us that Jesus is not coming back to audit our Google calendar. He is looking for fruit. Jesus did not say, if you remain busy, you will bear much fruit. He said, if you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. So the question today is not how much are we doing. The real question is, are busy Christians becoming more like Christ?
To add on to what Alina said, fruitfulness is not an activity, it's a transformed character. The Bible does not define fruitfulness as religious busyness. It defines fruitfulness as transformed character. This can be shown in Galatians chapter 5, verse 22. The fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. This is a biblical test. It's not live streams, leadership titles, the amount of meetings you attend. It creates some uncomfortable questions, as attending church every week, but you still are unloving. You will sing worship loudly, but you're still impatient. You attend every Sunday service, but you're still confused and you show anger at others. Let's be honest, busyness measures what Christians do. Fruitfulness reveals who Christians are becoming.
Yeah, sorry. things we want to point out is fruitfulness includes justice, not just charity. And we see this at a wider level in our society. We live in a country that is extremely prosperous. We are efficient, practical, orderly. We love systems and growth and even prosperity. And with the growth of like a country like Singapore, we have seen the growth of churches. We have seen larger and larger congregations. We have seen larger and larger conversions. So many of us, especially the older of our generation, will recall that what Singapore was like before prosperity and how we have risen very far. So the example we want to the example we want to give is the migrant workers and the domestic helpers. We have grown and we have many ministries that support these groups. There are foreign workers ministries, there are meals, medical services, Bible studies, Christmas events, care packages. Much of our comfort is supported by these workers that build our homes, our roads, our schools, our malls, and even our church buildings. Domestic helpers that clean our homes, care for our children, care for our elderly, and support our lifestyle. And we are very grateful for this. But biblical fruitfulness asks a deeper question. Do we only give care packages, or do we ask why we need care packages? Do we only pray for domestic helpers, or do we ask whether Christian households treat them with dignity and fairness? Do we only serve migrant workers once a week, or do we see them as our actual neighbors? Do we give them meals, then go back to benefiting from a system that they remain less protected than us? So if we would not put our children on the back of a lorry without proper restraints, why are we comfortable when migrant workers ride that way? My question is more like, we are a growing church, as in the country, right? But we have seen that we are scared sometimes to stand up for certain stances because it will disrupt our comfortableness. So a transformed Christian would be very strong in the faith that we have. But I think many of us are straddling a line where we embrace Christ, we embrace the love He gives us, we are happy to evangelize within certain limits because we are afraid to be courageous in Christ. And that's what we mean by we are busy, but we are not fruitful. The transformativeness has not happened.
Yes, you have.
I'm going to make a very... Okay. My point is very simple. I guess we need to distinguish between like temporary excitement from lasting fruit. So when we come for church camp and everything, we feel like very powerful, like a spiritual high in us. And people make a lot of commitments. Some people may get emotional and cry, which is good. But John 15:16 says that Jesus appointed us to bear fruit that will last. So our question is really what happens after all of these activities. So for example, after this camp, what happens? Do we forgive the person that we were bitter towards? Do we become more patient towards our family? Do we resist temptation? Do we become more like Christ even after all of these activities that we take part in? And Matthew 13 even speaks about seed that springs up quickly but withers because it has no root. So that is actually a warning to us. So overall, I want to say that a spiritual high is not the same as a spiritual fruit.
Thank you. Thank you. Your time is up. Now I give the time to the group number 4. Mike, you have the mic? Who's going to open it? Mic test, 22 seconds I did. Start.
Hello. Okay, hello. One of the clearest signs that the church today is very the transformation.
Just keep going.
Is the transformation we continue to see in people's lives. In Christianity, fruit is not measured by only the church attendance or the number of activities a church organizes. True fruit is seen when the gospel changes people from the inside out. Every day, individuals are coming to faith.
Thank you. Because you need to stand up because your weight is not.
maybe.
Stand up and talk.
Yeah.
Stand up, stand up, stand up. No, it's not for you, it's for the mic.
Every day, individuals are coming to faith, being baptized, overcoming addictions, restoring broken relationships, and finding new purpose through Christ. These transformations are powerful because they affect not only individuals, but also their families and communities. A person who once struggled with anger may learn forgiveness. Someone who felt hopeless may discover purpose and hope. Others who are only focused by themselves may begin serving and helping those around them. The Bible teaches that believers should produce fruits such as love, joy, peace, patience, and self-control. When these qualities become evident in a person's life, they serve as visible proof that God is work. God is at work.
Is it a very long paragraph? No. Okay.
Therefore, the continued transformation of countless lives today is strong evidence that the church is still bearing fruit. Wherever people are changed for the better through the gospel, we see clear proof of its lasting effect.
Carry on, you got another 3 more minutes.
I think the topic, the church today is busy, but not fruitful. And we are supporting, because modern church ministry is bearing fruit in different ways.
It's
Now,
busy and yet bearing fruit. It's
Really?
busy and bearing fruit. You're
What do
saying
we
busy
see?
but not bearing fruit. You are saying busy, bearing fruit.
Bearing fruit. So let's look at conservative churches and modern churches. Where is the growth now? The conservative churches or the modern churches? Modern churches are bearing fruit in different ways because their approach to the young people are different. Conservative have a set mind that this is how things to be done. Where the modern church doesn't diversify their approach and bringing more crowd to the churches. Even nowadays, if say Malachi, you bring tithes to the church. A modern church only if you bring your ATM card. ATM card, anywhere you click in, you're paying your tithes. So you're thinking that not necessary to go to church. I can function outside the church. That's the concept of modern. Again, you look at city hours or other churches, their way of approaching the children are fantastic. Our children, we are losing our children to this church. We must ask ourselves why we are not bringing them to our church. Thank you.
You have another 1 more minute? 1 more minute, 20 seconds.
Just look at the question. The church today is busy, not fruitful. So we are saying, what is the church busy with? You are mentioning all the activities, right? So, in order to have effective ministries, which means ministries means it's fruitful. So if you talk about modern ministries, maybe I say churches today, we are reaching people through online services, which is something which we are doing new, modern ministry. We are reaching people through social media podcasts. We are reaching through digital ministries, right? All these, the gospel can now reach to places where previously it could not reach to people. So we can say that the modern church, we are busy in doing these kind of ministries, where we are reaching out not just to the church, but to church in a bigger concept, in a big scope. Okay? Then you spoke about, can we part now or so say
Yeah,
something?
carry on.
You spoke about domestic helpers. Something like that. The church is, we continue to minister through our domestic helpers ministry, so that keeps us busy and fruitful. Our IFF ministry is ministry to the immigrants. That keeps us busy and fruitful, right? It's continuous. Don't stare at me lah, quite scary. Next, ministries to the homebound. We still continue to do all these ministries. You are terming that as activities. But these activities are important because these activities lead to the ministries that we have to do. We talked about committee meetings. If we don't have meetings, how are we going to effectively do our ministries? So the modern church, we are busy, yes, but we are also fruitful in the rich that we have. Thank you.
Okay. Next. Now round 2 for this group. Okay, you very much. Mic கொஞ்சம் இங்க வச்சு பேசுங்க எல்லாம் வராது.
Freddie said,
சத்தமா.
Freddie said quite a number of coming to the Lord and the broken, the people started or healed by coming to the church. But actually the statistics is different. The growth of Christianity in the world today is 1.38%, whereas I'm just taking only the atheism. Atheism growth is 1.19 to 1.38. It can sound the same, whereas Christian the growth rate of Christianity includes the birth rate of the family, birth rate as well it includes every denomination, which also includes the cult group. So we really cannot include 1.38 the growth rate as the real Christian growth, in spite of having the great commission that we have to go and make disciples. And another thing is, he spoke about the broken-hearted, healing of the broken-hearted. Nominal Christians the divorce rate has increased more than non-Christians. That's what I found online. So it should be factual. And there are quite a number who are not reached within the church itself. One reason could be because people could be busy with the meetings, going here, going there, even after church there can be meetings. So we could not reach out to, we might say hi, hello and all, not just we, the Christian community rather. So ஒருத்தவங்களோட real brokenness நம்மளால அநேக நேரத்தில் வந்து we may not reach out to them. So in John 15:16 it clearly says, you did not choose me, but I chose you and appointed you so that you might go and bear fruit that will last. So because there is no much fruit these days, even in terms of the increase in number or the or the healing of the broken hearted or reaching out to the poor, one reason could be because of the busyness that is happening, and there is no spiritual effectiveness, because in the early days, Acts 2 Paripata, the day of Pentecost, multitudes came to the Lord. Many were converted, many accepted it. Those days, the persecution was real. All the 11 disciples died. So right from the beginning, the persecution was greater. And in a country like Singapore, the persecution is not much, yet the growth rate is not much. The Christianity has not grown. We could put the blame on the birth rate. So Christianity it's not dependent on that. When atheism could grow, it is not because of birth rate, it is the individual's conviction. So I would like to conclude the spiritual effectiveness is not there. Christians.
Keep going.
Okay, Pastor, in today's context, the activity has replaced spiritual effectiveness is very true, because the church today measures success by attendance numbers, budgets, program counts, rather than true spiritual transformation, deep community or genuine love. Some of the warning signs for the churches, which I will tell, and then you all decide what is happening. Program burnt out, running so many weekly events that volunteers and leaders are exhausted. This is precisely what is happening in IFF, Thanks, Sister Madi. Performance culture, entertaining services or authentic worship. What is happening? Then consumer mindset, treating churchgoers as customers to entertain rather than disciples to equip. So what is happening right now is this in church. So this is something which has to be looked into.
Slow time.
So I just want to repeat and also address what we absolutely agree with you about the bountiful services that we see and all the many people, especially in our church also, that go and serve the Lord, and they do it with a genuine heart. We're not disputing that. What we're saying is that when we look at the larger picture, zoom out from the individual people that you know that have been serving very faithfully. If the church was genuinely fruitful at a very large scale in a country as prosperous as this, like what Auntie earlier mentioned, there will be radical transformation in our country. The hearts of the people will change. Where we see injustice, we cannot be silent. But I think we have all experienced this in the workplace. I'm like, shh, don't say that. Don't put yourself in the line of them. Don't push that line. Don't say this. because our comfort is clearly more important than genuine radical transformation that comes when we trust God more than we trust ourselves. Right? So when we think, oh, my HDB might be affected by this if I vote wrongly, more than why is that foreign worker still not having a seat now? Right? The fact that we have not pushed such a simple thing, I'm just using this as an example, that we are really, really not willing to push the red button.
Thank you. Thank you. Time's up. Now, opportunity for the group number 4.
Okay, now we're talking about modern church and conservative. What is my personal opinion? We as a conservative church, we are restricted by our discipline. Example, denominational churches, Methodist, Anglican, Lutheran, Methodist, we have a discipline. If you want to make any changes, there's a protocol to follow. Whereas modern church, like Combi and those who are running a mega church, he thinks and tomorrow is done. Where we want to make a change, it will take years. But we know that is right. But we can't make a change because of the constitution that we have. In mega church, tomorrow the church is one man. But he, his wife, his daughter, his son, they are the committee. That is the mega church. And we have people who are supportive for some programs, are not supportive for that program. If you want to make any change in the constitution of a discipline, we have to go for local church, we go for annual conference, we go for general conference, then we take a vote. And by the time this generation is no more ready. Game over.
Right.
So that's why modern ministry is more fruitful. When we know that we have to do that, a contemporary church can't change. We can't change because we have traditions to follow. If you say, I want to have lyrics, Kirtan, I cannot go for charismatic because some of the church members want Kirtan. If I want to have a charismatic, cannot. Because if the choir director or something is more on that base, he can't have. So those who are charismatic, they will go to the charismatic church, which they feel at home. Thank you.
Thank you. Much more speakers, you got 3 more minutes. 3 more minutes.
I just want to cite this church camp itself as an example of how the church today is busy and it's actually fruitful. Okay? Yeah. So in the past years, we did not have that many young people coming for church camps. It was mainly the middle-aged the group and maybe a few families will come tag along, right? But today, as I came for this church camp, I noticed that there were so many young people around. So the modern ministry to us, the modern ministry is actually bearing fruits. These young people have set aside the time for this camp to learn about God, and whatever they could have taken the first place in their life, they would just push it aside and say, okay, I will attend this, and I'm going to make the time for God, I'm going to learn about God, and I'm going to do what He wants to do for me. So that's your point.
Thank you. Maybe adding on to Sister Mary's point, this church camp, she sees so many youth, right? It's because of the church activity called Sunday school. If only people would not have gone to Sunday school and somebody would have faithfully sowed the seed for them, they wouldn't be here. Okay? The so-called activities that you say should be moderated. Joe was telling just now, right? That there are too many activities and that's why they are burnt out. Hello? Just now said. Right? You said that there are too many activities and too many program burnout in IFF. There needs to be somebody there moderating how many activities you have. Doesn't mean that we should not have activities. We should be having activities because activities like prayer fellowship, Sunday school, Bible study, all this is molding the Christian generation together, helping us to bear fruit and to do activities and to bring others to Christ. So it's not just being faithful and not having less activity. You should moderate the activities, the number of activities.
Okay, the opposite team has undermined the power of spirit. Okay? So the activities cannot replace the effectiveness of God's spirit. That's first thing you all need to understand. So you are talking about the spiritless dead church, where they are just living with activities. Yeah, I mean, otherwise, I mean, you are saying that the Spirit of the Lord cannot do what He wants to execute in the church. Okay, and there is an issue with the title itself because activity has... Because the thing is, for the S part, it is activity has replaced the spiritual effectiveness, but for the no, it is talking about the modern ministry. It is not talking about the activity. It should be activity is bearing fruit or not. Yeah.
So that's a flawed title itself. I think. Okay. Thank you for putting forth your points. We, the audience, know how hard you have worked. It's quite evident in the way that you have debated. We, the judges, also know how hard you have worked. It's quite evident in the way that you have presented. And trying to then poke hole at the statement of the debate itself. But let's make it very clear. It's very simple. What the topic is saying, the church today is busy but not fruitful. And trying to unpack that for both your groups, it says that the group which says yes, saying that activity has replaced spiritual effectiveness. It means there's a lot of spiritual activities. You can call it activity which is just program. You can call it activity which is spiritual. You can call it activity which is based on numbers, whatever it is, but it's done by the church. Okay, it could be prayer, it could be Mother's Day befriender program, it could be going out to the community to walk for prayer around the place, whatever it is, all activities. You can semantics, whether you want to call it activity, you want to call it ministry, you want to call it program. At the end of the day, when the church does it, everything is based on spirit. Because we believe that God is, through these, in His own ways, in His spirit, He will reach out the way. But the other team is saying that no, modern ministry is bearing fruit in different ways. He's saying that this group is a modern ministry. It is not about independent church. It is not about charismatic churches. It's not a mega church. Modern ministry is saying that modern way of ministering. What are the modern way of ministering? Digital media, social media, befriending programs, community engagements. These are all modern ministries, right? In those days, when we talk about evangelism, we do what? Go door to door, give tract. Today you don't go to door to door and give tract. What do you give? Door to door. Last 2 Saturdays ago we did. What did you do? Go. You go door to door and you give bread. Why you give bread? As though they cannot. Singapore is a prosperous country. Do they need bread? Do they need a loaf of bread? No. You're trying to engage them, befriend them. And these are a lot of activities they're doing. And this group is saying through these activities, it is spirit-filled, it is powerful. So you are saying that these very activities that you're talking about, it's powerful, has drawn the energy out of the people, and it is not really bearing fruit, which is what you're saying. It's not transforming people's lives. If we had transformed, then we would be a church which stands up for justice, for ill treatment or unfair treatment for our migrant workers, like what you have just now cited. You know, the lorry where they go without any seats or any seat belts. We should be, as a church, if we are really effectively engaging the community, then we must also rise up for justice. So this is the two different topics that you need to argue. அதை விட்டுட்டு நீங்க எங்கெங்கயோ போயிட்டு பேசி விட்டு டைட்டில் சரியில்லைன்னு நீங்க சொல்றீங்க. நீங்க உங்க ஆர்குமென்ட் இங்க ஸ்டாட்டிஸ்டிக் டிவோர்ஸ் உள்ள கொண்டு போயிட்டீங்க. அத பத்தி இங்க பேச்சே இல்ல. Okay, so now I ask you a question to engage the debate. I ask you a question. Are you saying that the church should not have any activities, whether you call it activity or ministry or program, because it's not useful? Please respond to my question. Respond to my question. Don't prepare your prepared speech. I know you all have very nice prepared speech, and I know where it's coming from. Don't worry. Okay? Sister, now so that if you respond, you're not then the others will respond.
Okay. So actually, என்னுடைய point என்ன அப்படின்னா, we are not saying that programs இருக்கக்கூடாதுன்றது இல்ல. programs எத்தனை வேணா இருக்கலாம், but whether it is prayerful or not, நம்ம அந்த ப்ரோக்ராமை நடத்துறதுக்கு தேவையான ப்ரேயரோட வரமா, ப்ரேயரோட நம்மளுடைய கர்த்தருடைய பாதத்தில் அமர்ந்து நாங்கள் இப்போ கேட்குறோமா, இது சக்ஸஸ்ஃபுல்லாக எங்களுக்கு முடிய உதவி செய்யல நம்ம கேட்டிருக்கோமா என்னைக்காவது? இதுதான் நாங்கள் கேட்க வரோம். ப்ரோக்ராம்ஸ் கூடாதுன்னு நாங்கள் சொல்ல வரல, எவ்வளோ ப்ரோக்ராம்ஸ் வேணால் நடத்தலாம். பட் இப்படி ப்ரோக்ராம்ஸ் நம்ம நடத்திக்கிட்டே இருக்கும் பொழுது நமக்கு அந்த டைம் இருக்கா? உட்காந்து கர்த்தருடைய பாதத்தில் உட்காந்து நான் இதை எப்படி செய்ய போகிறேன், ஆண்டவரே எனக்கு ஹெல்ப் பண்ணுங்கன்னு எத்தனை ப்ரோக்ராம்ஸ்க்கு நம்ம டைம் ஸ்பெண்ட் பண்ணி முதல்ல ஆண்டவர்கிட்ட கேட்குறோம். நம்மளுடைய ஸ்கெடியூலில் ப்ரோக்ராம் நடத்துகிறோம், நிறைய விஷயத்தில் ப்ரேயர் பண்ணுறோம், நான் இல்லைன்னு சொல்லலை. எப்படி சோல்ஃபுல்லாக ஆண்டவர்கிட்ட கேட்டு நம்ம ப்ரேயர் பண்ணியிருக்கோமா?
இல்லை சிஸ்டர், இப்போ கேள்வி என்னன்னா சர்ச்சஸ்க்கு ப்ரோக்ராம் வேணுமா? ஓகே, the question is whether the church needs programs in order to be fruitful.
Yes, Pastor.
Okay.
But programs வேணும் தான், பட் ஆனால் நம்ம அந்த ப்ரேயர்ஃபுல்லாக செய்கிறோமா, நமக்கு அந்த சஃபிஷியன்ட் டைம் இருக்கா? இதுதான் எங்களுடைய கேள்வி.
Okay, carry on. Please respond.
I just give an illustration. A tree from far looks, it has a lot of branches. It looks very healthy. When you go near and see, it doesn't bear fruit. It is not a fruit, but it is a fruit-bearing tree and it's not bearing fruit. Likewise, churches that look very busy with many activities, but you look properly, the outcomes are not there. The outcomes are not measured by numbers. As Sister Mary pointed out, this church camp got a lot of people compared to previous church camp. Okay, so what? Let me ask you a question. How many of you seated here came for last church camp? Who was the camp speaker? What was the theme for last church camp? And what were the different day? What were the team talks? And after that, how it transformed your lives? What changes have it made into your life in the 2 years? Think about it. That is our point. We can have many activities. The moment we step out of this camp, you have forgotten. What you remember is the food was not good. Which food was good? That one was not good. Those are things you remember. How do you translate what you learn into your daily lives? So those are outcomes, the fruits that we are talking about. And we can have many activities, as Brother Joe pointed out. It could be the same people doing the activities. They are the ones benefiting. The rest are not benefiting. There are people who are comfortable just to attend worship services only. And beyond that, they are not going to do anything more. So is that what we want?
That's what they're saying. That's not what we want. We need to put more programs and people must come and attend those programs so that they can become active and they can bear fruit. That's what they're saying. And the programs, you can't be active, you can't bear fruit. More programs, they're saying the more programs they come, listen, they're saying the more programs the church do, there are more opportunities for different age groups to come. Maybe these families came there for young people. The program we do for seniors, maybe seniors can come. The programs for young adults is young adults. So more programs, more opportunities given for people to come so that they can spiritually grow. So that's why they're saying the more program, the better.
Okay, we actually,
that is the clean title. That's your question. Your modern ministry is effective. Yeah, so that's it.
okay.
Yes.
Wait, Pastor, we done lost the plot.
Okay, carry on.
We are absolutely, I think in a lot of things we are actually in agreement. And can we just clarify we're not fighting with you, we're in the same church?
No, I'm just engaging you.
Yeah,
engaging you because it's
so
going out of
okay,
right.
I think it is very evident, we can all agree on, is we know in our church especially the many people who are always serving. We are not in dispute of that. But maybe if I distance this a little bit, it will be easier to digest. We all are surrounded by people we know love God and it's sincere. But we also know, maybe if we look at ourselves, the transformation is not complete. And the transformation is not complete. Just give you a very simple answer. Example, how often have we gone outside in this world? We've encountered people who also say, hey, I'm a Christian too, or we find out they're Christians, but we see behavior and it does not sit right in our heart. And we know that they're from many churches, and some are big, some are small, some are very prosperous, some are very famous, some are great networking places, right? We know they all claim to be Christians. That has grown, the transformation. But then we are embarrassed to realize that, oh, you're Christian. We know that and it's not just in other people, it's in ourselves. that transformation, if it doesn't happen, will not be spiritually effective. It will not bear fruit. It will be a superficial activity.
Okay, thank you. Your time is up. Your response to that?
Okay, first of all, going for Pontian's illustration. Going for Pontian's illustration, so he was telling that there is a very nice tree, but there are no fruits. Why?
Because you cannot see.
Probably you need some spectacles. No, the fruits are the outcome of the effectiveness of the spirit. If there is no spirit, there's not going to be any fruit. Okay, so that is exactly the same I was telling earlier as well. You can have activities, but if it is not spirit leading, if it is not the God's will for me to do certain ministries, if it is not God's will for me to go and meet somebody, and if you do something else of our own choice, of your own preferences, you are not going to see any fruits. It's basically that. So that's why if you're having activities that are spirit led, that are the God's will, if you understand that, if you discern that, and if you do it, obviously we will see fruits. And already, some of you has mentioned that a number of our ministries, like the Sunday school ministries, the foreign workers, the IFF, and so many other ministries, and the preaching points from the different churches, they are all activities, and they are all bearing fruits, because whoever is involved and whoever is doing it are doing with the Spirit's leading with that it may not be 100%, but yes. Yeah, so that is the thing. So we can have activities, but that activities has to be in line with God's purpose. Yeah, otherwise if it is just activities, then if it is just replacing our regular work, even, as you are asking, you asked a good question. So the last camp everybody came, but what was the outcome of it? How many of us have really grown? It is all depending upon, again, based on the the topic, what we are discussing in the full camp. Are we abiding in Christ? Are we a branch attached to Christ? So that is a question each and every one of us should ask and should respond to that, so that individually and as a church we can bear fruit. And the activities will be fruitful as well.
Still got time? Are you going to respond somehow?
So, Pastor, it's like...
What they are saying is, in the real program activities, ministry, it doesn't translate to transform lives.
Okay.
So it's becoming more program based, but not really
So,
ministry, touching lives.
So what I understand from it, it's like they are saying like, even if we get that one bag of gold, we should go and bury it in the ground. Like even if we get that one bag of gold, we are supposed to bury it in the ground and not do anything. So what will happen to us if we stop doing any activities or anything like that? We will be... So you all say reduce what? Yeah, that's my point. Like, if we, like what they said, if we eventually they will say reduce or stop having the activities because we are not bearing fruit. Isn't that equivalent to like burying that one bag of gold that we got in the ground and doing nothing with it? Then what will happen to us and what does God teach us? Even Jesus, we have to follow his example here. If he doesn't think that nothing will bear fruit, why does he have to have a sermon on the mount or go out teaching or show miracles? And what does he say when he called the 12 disciples? Go out and be fishers of men. So to follow his example, we need to go out, and even if we think that he cannot make a big difference, we are still called to try. Right? So that's my point. Thank you.
I think adding on to that point and what okay, what she said is like she said, if they can be Christian but then they have some like wrong habits, or they don't want to showcase that they're Christian, so they're like embarrassed that they're Christian. A point would be like, at least it's a partial change that's observed in a person, that they are like these activities like actually help them to, they show that they are a Christian, right? So it's like more of a starting point. So there should be more activities so that they can be encouraged to actually show out that they're Christian. And if these activities didn't exist in the first place, they wouldn't even like want to know that, like they wouldn't even want to like observe themselves as a Christian in the first place. So more activities should exist so that they can have a change in their heart, because God will change their heart. So like you have to like believe lah. Like these activities, you can say it's not fruitful, but then God already says, do not be afraid, and you have to teach you faith can move mountains. So if you actually have the faith in God and you do these activities with that, you should do more activities like this, and God will actually bring people. So I'm just saying, you guys say these activities are useless. That's what your point is. That's what your point is. So I don't, sorry, not to say I don't care, but I do not mind that this is not what you said, but that's what the board says that is your point. So I'm rebuffing your point. So there should be more activities, and like you say, if there's no activities, these people wouldn't even, you guys wouldn't even be here if there was no activities to bring you up in Christianity.
Final arguments.
Okay. Okay, you said in early days, the church, one sitting, second sitting was 3,000, 4,000. The Holy Spirit worked, and church people were added to the church by thousands. Now some churches here, 100 years, 80 years. What is the growth we see now? That time, the early church, each day, thousands were added to the church ministry. Now we have 100 years of, we are celebrating 100 years anniversary. But we have what we started, the membership, and what we are decreased. I think we look at Nokia, was one time very famous. Stop sharing. Where are Nokia now? We should have a mindset, change in the mindset to see what is the need of today's generation. How we can approach the generation. Mindset change. So we will be like, okay, lose out.
Thank you. Final argument from this side. Okay, I give you 3, 4,
So basically, there should be activities to like kickstart the whole thing. And then, if there's no activities in the first place, right, there would be no fruitfulness. Like even if you say that there's not much fruitfulness because there's so many activities, at least there is some fruitfulness. So there should be more activities for more fruitfulness.
Okay. Final argument by this team.
Okay, let's clarify. We are not saying
The board said it. That's what we're arguing against.
Okay, but I actually do think that's a little bit more dangerous. The minute you think partial transformation is a good side, it's actually the beginning of like, oh, you'll be happy if it's partial. That radical transformation we see it so often in new Christians, right? It's because they don't accept that partiality. They don't accept that let's just give a little, let's just be. But I'm not arguing that activities are not important and God works and uses those activities regardless. But that transformation that we say that comes where we can only bear that fruit because of God, that has to happen. I have no answer how to make it happen. I know that it is not complete in me either, but it is dangerous when we are happy to sit with the partial.
I'm just trying here, okay? So, because it says the church today is busy, not fruitful. So the purpose of the church is also to, equip believers through believing, through equipping believers through teaching and fellowship, and also reaching out to others through the service. But sometimes also God also desires fruit, not just activity.
So a church can be very active every day for a week and still produce, active every day for a whole week and still produce immature fruits. Jesus also said that you will glorify God by bearing fruit. Sometimes we also think that these activities can be a distraction because busyness can distract us from what matters most. Luke 10:41-42, where Martha was serving Jesus, but she was also very distracted because she was not listening to what Jesus was preaching. So not every good activity is the most important activity. Large numbers also do not always mean spiritual fruit. Matthew 7:22-23. Many will say to me on that day, Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name? People can perform many religious works and still miss God's will. A crowded church is not necessarily a fruitful church. And Jesus also always criticized religious activity without spiritual reality. Churches can look successful while they lack the holiness, love, repentance, and discipleship. God values spiritual reality, not public appearance. You have Revelation 3:1. You have the reputation of being alive, but you are dead. So just general point.
Good summing up. Good job. Okay. Please carry on.
No, because this stuck with me from our last camp. Pastor Paul mentioned that the scariest verse in the Bible, one that he felt, and I never forgot it, was, I can't remember the verse for word, but it's the one where God will open the book and your name will not be in it. And I think that's what we're trying to say. That's a very hard thing.
All right, thank you very much for your great participation. Good job. Good job. We're going to end this session here. I just want to sum up and say that there are many good arguments, many good statements made, but there was also a lot of digressions. Both sides have gone different ways, trying to understand these topics in a short time is not easy. But the whole idea of this topic is church with no activities at all, also there's no avenues for growth. Church with too many activities also can become very busy and become very watered down, like it's not spirit-led, it is just programs after programs and we want to show ourselves busy and also doesn't bear much fruitfulness. So the thing that we need to know is that the idea is not about how many programs that we have, but how many of these ministries are done effectively for the transformation of lives. So like what Matthew has summed up just now with that mega church big church numbers doesn't mean that they are spiritually growing. Small churches doesn't mean they're spiritually dying. But doesn't mean that small churches mean that there's quality and big churches mean there's no quantity. There are good people in big churches, there are good people in small churches. There are lousy people in small churches, there are also lousy people in big churches. When I mean lousy, I'm making it very simple to illustrate that there is a form but there's no transformation. There's form, that means they show all the image of being a church or being a Christian and all that, but there is no true transformation. At the end of the day, what Christ really looks at is a transformed life, right? A transformed life, a church which is a community, which has transformed lives, which is able to transform the community around us. And so I hope that whatever that we have discussed has opened your mind. Whatever you have read through with all the digital help will also open your minds, which is good because I see many of you quoting verses and all that. I hope you will help you to go and do a bit more research. If you believe in what you said, do you believe in what you have said sitting down here, or you're just rattling off? If you do believe, then you must also go and work that deeper into your lives. The whole idea of this, I think there was a question about what this camp has done, and the same question is Solomon put again, what this camp are. I want to say that there are many things that camps can do. Bond relationships, put thoughts in our minds which affects our lives and help us to reflect of what the teacher has spoken. And previous church camp, in the camp, at least about 20 to 30% more in participation. right? We have 61. Previously, I think we had only about 30 or 38, 39, perhaps 40. We have more, which means to say people have come. Maybe because of the previous church camp members who have shared that we had good time of fellowship and learning. And the whole idea of the camp is also that this will spur us towards doing more as a church, doing more faithful, fruitful ministries as a church. Not just activities, but as a church, be involved so that as a church, as individual we bear fruit, and as a church and as a community we can also be a bearing fruit. Fruit-bearing trees. Fruit-bearing trees, communities, whatever that may be. Alright, thank you. Pastor Charles has something to say.
Only one point. Actually, we are doing more activities based on what? We want to attract more people, or we want to show we are really doing ministry. If the Christ love in us, we can do more. This is the base. If you do activity and I love Christ and I love neighbors, it's a wrong attitude. The basic thing is, if I love Christ, if I understand the love of Christ, I do the activities. This bears fruit.
Thank you. The motive behind of whatever that we do must be for the sake of people. Thank you very much for all of your participation. Right now, I'm done.
Okay, thank you so much, Pastor. Let's give them a round of applause.